What's up, everybody? This is Eric from Wasteland.com. It's been a while since I've talked about this subject, but it is something that is very important because, like I've mentioned in many videos, being prepared is not just about preparing for the end of the world stuff, the big disasters. What's much more likely to cause problems in all of our lives is the little stuff. That isn't really little stuff, but the everyday, everyday non-disaster related, non-shit the fan stuff. You know, the first aid kit in your car is most likely to be used because of a car accident, not because of an EMP or any sort of major disaster scenario. And that's why I encourage people to do things like take care of their finances, save money, be prepared for everyday things. Stuff like wearing a seatbelt, first aid kit for your car, being prepared for job loss, all that sort of stuff is so much more likely to actually save your ass than a bug out bag, which is obviously super important. And these are major events that could happen, and that's why it's important to get prepared for them, but they're much more unlikely. The likely stuff is much more likely to come back and bite you. And one of the things that I really suggest everyone get, if you can at all afford it, is a dash cam. This one I have is the Vantru N2, which I got because it is front and back. So it records outside the front of the car and inside the car in whatever it can see out the back, in two separate video files. So when you open up the camera, you can select if you just want to show out the front, just want to show the back, and then you can have both simultaneously, if you wanted to put them together. But there's so many things that this could be useful for. In the liability, and insurance things, if there's an accident and it shows exactly what happened, none of this messing around with he said, she said, and obviously any sort of law enforcement interactions. I've seen videos captured where the police were just wrong about something. It's up to you to decide whether they did this stuff on purpose or not. But if they're if they're wrong, whether or not it's on purpose, there's nothing you can do about it when you go to court. The word of a law enforcement officer, the testimony, unless you have evidence proving them wrong, like video, is going to be accepted as proof, So you need to have that evidence. And there was something that happened just within the last couple days to me, not involving law enforcement, but a pedestrian. And I have the footage of this. I'll show you. And I'll show you the entire footage right here and then tell you basically more about the situation. So as you can see, I'm approaching a right turn. There is a crosswalk there, but the light, I have the green light. They have a red crosswalk hand. Now, the very interesting thing you also note is that this woman is already there at the corner, stopped. She's standing when I'm driving up. So she's not just walking and continues out, so then it would be easier to predict that that's what she might do. She's standing at the corner stop with a red hand. So I go to make my turn, and then that moment she just suddenly steps out into the road. Doesn't look all that dramatic in the footage, and also keep in mind that because of the wide-angle lens on this, things are a lot closer than they look because it has to get a whole picture from right up under the window. So she's actually within just a couple feet of the front of my car when she just launches out into the road. Now imagine if I had hit her. It totally would not have been my fault. She had the red hand and she just suddenly stepped out. But then the cops show up. You have just hit a lady in the crosswalk. Even if there was no one else there saying, that you were at fault or something like that, it certainly looks bad. They're not going to know what the light was showing. If you're like, oh, I had the green light, she had the stop sign, she just went out, and maybe someone there is her friend and like, no, or she survives and says, no way, I had the light. The light was green. And they're like, why did you go? And I'm like, well, my light was green. And usually when the light's green, there will be a go sign for them, not the stop sign. So maybe she waited too long. I don't know what the situation was. And she'll say that she just, looked in or whatever. She could say that. I'm not necessarily saying that she would. But it would be an extremely bad situation. If you ended up killing someone in that situation, oh my God, I can't even imagine the crap that you might have to go through. But instead, I had proof of that situation, shows exactly what happened. Luckily, I was able to avoid because I'm paying attention when I drive. But even when you are paying attention, if she had waited even a half a second more to step out, I wouldn't have had time to stop, and I probably would have hit her. So super important. This one is like $200 for the Pro version. You don't need that one. I do recommend it if you do any sort of Uber driving or delivery type stuff, because showing what's happening inside the car is very important. If you're picking up a Tinder date or something and you end up being crazed, and So I recommend having the one that shows both, but you don't need it. You know, audio will help with that sort of thing too, and you can get ones for 50, solid ones for $50 to $75. Vanture has a couple, or yeah, Vanture has a couple different models, and I've had great luck with theirs so far. I really like this one. So I really strongly suggest that if you can all afford it, that you guys pick something up, some kind of dash cam recording device. Super easy. It just automatically records over the footage. Once you get it set up, you don't have to do anything. As soon as the car turns on, it powers up, and it just records for 5 hours in like a few minute increments. And then when it gets to the end, it starts over. So you always have the last 5 hours, depending on the size of your SD card, but you always have the last like 3 to 10 hours of your driving on there, and you can pull it off. And there are different features too, like if there's an accident, there's actually an accelerometer inside the camera that, you know, if it feels a sudden impact, it actually puts that file in a special folder where it won't get overwritten, even if you forget to pull it out or something like that. So really cool features, super useful. Seems boring, you know, but I've caught some pretty hilarious stuff on there too. Like this image of, looks like I caught Ghost Rider maybe. So you might find some funny stuff that could make you internet famous, make a few bucks on ad revenue or something like that to show your friends. And if it even once in your entire life saves you from any sort of, you know, being charged with a crime or an accident, so your insurance rates go up or you get sued or something like that, $200 will seem like nothing if it ever saves your butt like that. So, and I definitely recommend it. Let me know what you guys think if you have any experience with dash cams. And thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.